to Reptile in the Living Room. I am here today to talk about something called programs. Programming, that's a engineering term I'm not very familiar with because, I know I'm using technology for a lot of things and it's very, very useful, but technology has just kind of never been my thing. I think that for me, anyway, that's innate. I, I think that we could probably do with a lot less technology on this planet. That is my thought, until we are spiritually mature enough to be able to use it wisely. But nonetheless, we have it right now, so I'm going to use it to the best of my ability to help educate folks who wish an education. Not everybody does, and you know what? That's your choice. A lot of people are here on this planet just kind of wondering, what's going on? Why is the world the way it is? And, not really doing much to educate themselves about what's happening. But the bottom line is, we're in a strange control system, and the biggest part of that control system is indeed programming. Oh, that much I can promise you. And who's doing the programming? Well, it all started with a bunch of beings that do not belong here. In my opinion, they certainly don't belong in my reality. I am not vibrating at their reality, their vibration, their frequency, which is hatred towards others and control and manipulation. And you know what? Those are things that I'm just not interested in. The things I'm interested in are creation and creating with my brothers and sisters on this planet and making this place an amazing paradise like it has been before in the past. And I believe it can be once again once we get out underneath the control of these reptilians. I would not say reptilian overlords, as they have been called. That's awfully flattering to them. No, 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 my friends. Once we no longer vibrate at their frequency, we're not going to have to deal with them any longer. So the trick here is to learn the game and then, you know what? Not participate in it anymore. It's that simple. It really is. Now, biblically, I know we have been told a number of things about them, not just in the Bible, but I mean, they're everywhere. They're, in all kinds of sacred texts, from Sumerian to Mayan. My goodness, it just goes on and on. Everywhere you look in history, there they are. They're written about. They're in artwork, sculptures, paintings. Maybe there's one supreme reptilian that runs all the other reptilians, but, I take a lot of the Bible with a grain of salt. I think there's a lot of history in it, but I also believe it's been manipulated over time. But I will definitely give it credit for a lot of the history that is there. And, in numerous places it tells us about these reptilian beings in Revelations, in the New Testament, and then in the Old Testament, in Genesis, it tells us about when these beings, fallen angels, I might have mentioned them once before, but I'm not sure, which I think is awfully flattering. Angels, woohoo! Yeah, hardly. Anyway, they came to Earth and were instructed not to mate with the Earthlings, yet they did. Okay, and somehow or another it all got blamed on Eve. I'm not quite sure how that went down, but one of these days I'll be able to ask somebody questions about that. I'm looking forward to that time. In any event, so I'm going to talk today about programs. So you've probably heard that term before, program. I know, for instance, probably one of the places I heard it first was, this television program is brought to you by some corporation that, probably wants to damage our lives ultimately under the guise of doing something good for humanity. Okay? That's kind of how that goes. So that was probably the first time I ever really heard programs. And then again, I heard it in 12-step programs. Once again, the term program. Perhaps programs can give us some benefit. I will definitely say that. I think that many things can be given to the public via the media that can be good for us and beneficial, but you know what? Most of it is not. And most of it is to form our perception as to how reality is. All right, or isn't. And these programs continue to pull us further and further away from what we know innately and what's in our heart. Most of us know right from wrong. If we didn't know right from wrong, frequently our parents would give us a little guidance in that direction, like, don't steal from somebody, don't hit somebody, don't don't touch the stove, those same old things, right? you know, things many adults still have a problem with. Maybe they're not touching the stove anymore, but hey, maybe you shouldn't be cheating on your spouse. Maybe you shouldn't be stealing things from work. Maybe you shouldn't be a jerk if you're a boss to other people and, take their livelihoods away from them for control. Things like that. Programs. Okay, so I have a little list here. And I'm going to use the list. Last time I winged everything. This time I've got like 5 items written down with no more information, so I'm still winging it. As you can tell, my set has improved vastly. I'm sitting in my backyard in this glorious, glorious part of the rainforest. Ruling class. I think that's where our first program began. And the ruling class of our planet has historically been people that are A, directly related through interbreeding to these fallen angels. Oh, these fallen angels. Oh. Reptilians is what they are. Serpents, snakes, dragons. They've been called all kinds of things in religious texts and historic texts. Oh, I can only imagine all the historical texts that have been hidden from us and what they have to say about this group of beings. They're not people. They're not people, and they probably don't have any souls whatsoever. Maybe just a little. Some of them might have, okay, but for the most part, beings with souls don't completely harm other beings, especially ones that are their spawn. And I hate to say that, but the reptilian brain in our heads and some of our reactions are probably leftovers from whatever breeding or interbreeding went on when that was not supposed to happen. So the ruling class, these reptilian beings had to come into power and subjugate humanity once they interbred with them, and a way to keep their thumbs on humankind was to rule over them. And from what I hear, their vibration was such that they really, really couldn't interact with us one-on-one too much. They're from like a lower astral realm, and we're not able to really be here with us side by side. And I know maybe it's kind of hard to put your head around this, but there are universal laws, and there are rules beings have to live with in this strange little game we're immersed in called life on planet Earth, or Earth School, as some people call it. So this ruling class basically would be spawn of the reptilians and or people with humongous egos, the need to control and manipulate for power. And so they got power from these reptilians to rule. And were able to fool humanity. I mean, if they weren't lopping off people's heads, and forcing people to become their servants via force, they were lying to them, and they were telling them that they were powerful, that somehow or another they were this royal bloodline. And it's like, you know what? If I knew where this bloodline came from, I wouldn't want to be saying I was related to them. Thank you. And you do notice that throughout history, this royal bloodline has interbred with each other like over and over and over again. I don't know about you, man, but if I was one of those folks, I'd be looking in the mirror going, maybe I shouldn't interbreed too much anymore because I'm starting to look a little funky. So yeah, the ruling class is definitely a direct lineage to these reptilians that came here that were mentioned once again. Let's not deny it, people. Let's not deny it. They're written about in all kinds of sacred texts. There's statues of them all over the world, along with all kinds of our other hidden history. Not quite hidden, folks. Not quite hidden, all right? We've been brainwashed to ignore it, but it's anything but hidden. Although there's plenty of hidden stuff yet to find. That's a fact. I would love to look in that Vatican library. So the ruling class in their spawn have been, you know, running the show here on planet Earth under their reptilian generals. Okay, basically is what's going on. Excuse me, in this free world, I've had really bad hay fever, and I just got like something on my nose, so I'm outdoors. It's pollen. It's horrible, and you can tell I'm not really in this for like to look good. I'm here to get information out. So, and if I could get it out in one fell swoop on a video, I'm gonna go for it. I'm definitely gonna go for it. Yeah, the ruling class. And then you have the people that, do the work for the ruling class, and they get all kinds of rewards, and they get lots of money, and they get power and prestige and all of these things. So you have the people that are attached to them. So you've got the reptilians, you have the ruling class, and then you have the people that work underneath them. And then you have their subjugates just going, oh, okay, well, I better not say anything because I don't want to get killed. And they follow their rules. And so now forever, we have been under this ruling class of absolute corruption in this world. Some little girl did a report on the presidents of the United States of America. And this is like on the mainstream news. Her dad helped her. And she was able to find like genetic lineage links to our presidents of the United States. I think all but 2 of them were related somehow or another to this ruling class, this royal bloodline. It's like, I remember when I was in grammar school learning about these people, and I'm thinking, who the hell said you get to be any better than us? What made you royal? Why am I not royal? Why are you royal? Why is that kid in the back of the class not royal? What makes you so special? I mean, these are questions we need to ask ourselves. For some reason, I started asking them when I was a kid, and I bet if you look back, you were probably asking some of these questions too, but nobody wanted to answer them. That's the problem, okay? You ask these questions, and they just told you to shut up. Well, guess what? I ain't shutting up. All right. So, the governing bodies of this planet, for the most part, throughout history and in current times, are not really nice people. They're a bunch of arrogant, egocentric jerks who are part of the system. And you know what? From what I've heard, it sounds like a lot of them are linked in because they have been caught doing compromising things. I think we could probably look at like Jeffrey Epstein and some of the people who have been to his infamous island where, people have sex with children. They're disgusting. These are disgusting, disgusting, disgusting human beings. And you know what? A lot of these people have been filmed. And Jeffrey Epstein and his little cronies made no problem with keeping track of a lot of these people. One of them being a royal that we're well aware of, right? Prince Andrew, okay? Once again, okay, and then I'm not even going to get in to this connection at this point. I'm not going to get into the connection between these beings and their minions and having sexual relations with children, traumatizing children, and also sacrificing children. And I am not even going to get into the rest of it here. I'm just not going to get into the rest of it here. You're going to start hearing about it on the mainstream news. It's going to start coming out, and it's going to make you throw up. It's going to make you throw up. I can barely listen to anything about this stuff. Okay, so the people who are running our world are freaking psychopathic nuts. They're off the rockers, and we are letting them rule. Well, you know what? We have a say in that matter, and so I want you to remember that as we go along. I'm going to continue talking about programs. So the other thing that's been instituted is in this program, in this control system, are religions. And there are a number of religions all over the world. And there are older ones and newer ones. And I'm not going to go into all of them. I think all of us probably have a pretty firm grasp on what most of them are. And I'm not saying they're all bad. When I say that, I'm not saying the entirety of each religion is bad. In fact, they all have a commonality. And if you look at the things that connect all of these religions, that that commonality that they all share, generally it's like love one another as I have loved you. Just be kind to one another. Almost all of them have that as a common thread. And so from that, we need to look at that. We need to look at all of those and say, you know what? Okay, let's move forward in life with that as one, as humanity, as actual brothers and sisters on this planet, because that's what we are. We are all one. We are all brothers and sisters, and we need to move forward in life from that standpoint if we're ever going to have peace on earth and unity. And I'm hoping that's what you want, because without that, this planet has been in a free fall for quite some time now. We're going to need to pull our heads out really quickly, unify, and get the planet back on track again, okay? I've heard the saying before, the one you were looking for to really help is you. Like, God helps those who help themselves, right? We've heard that too. Okay, everybody's like, oh, I'll pray and let somebody else take care of it. You know what? Get off your butt and help. We need all hands on deck right now. We are in a serious, serious problem here on planet Earth between everything dying, the planet dying, and humanity as sick as can be, even though we've got all this freaking technology that should be helping us. But it's like 1 in 2 people get cancer now, and we still can't find the cure for cancer. Isn't that weird? With all the ribbons we're wearing, and all the running we're doing, and all the awareness we're bringing to it, and the billions of dollars that have been thrown into the cancer research industry, still don't have a cure? Okay, maybe we're being taken for a ride there too, my friends, because they're sitting on the cures. They're sitting on the cures, all right? The cures are there. And in fact, Mother Nature has a plethora of them, and God forbid you start talking about that, because next thing you know, you're either dead or in jail. That's how they deal with that. So these people that are running our world are crazy. They're getting rich, filthy rich off of you and I. But you know what? It's not even money, because they really don't need much more money. They like the power. You know what? That is how a psychopath acts. They like the power, okay? And they only have power because we're letting them have it. They want us to think that they're all powerful, and they are not. We don't have to hurt anybody in this process. You realize that. Just need to take away their power. And the easiest way to take it away, and in the first video I talked about that, the easiest way to take it away is we stop playing their game and we elevate our emotions. We elevate our vibration and our frequency, and we stay united with one another on this planet with our brothers and sisters, and we work together. We do not buy into their division game, and we take our power back. Oh, it's going to be easy and it's going to be fun once everybody finally gets that message. So I'm putting it out there for you to digest. Okay, so the religion thing, yes. My family and many other families were forced to become Catholic or have their heads cut off. Okay, we cannot forget things like the Inquisition and all the other things that particular church has done to harm humanity. And if we look at that church today and the trouble they're getting into, oh my goodness, what's that all about, right? I'm not going to talk about it right now. I really don't feel like it. I kind of been inundated with children being harmed, but we all know what I'm talking about. And the fact of the matter that some people are still attending that church... You gotta put 2 and 2 together, people. You have to think. Do you want to support a group of pedophiles? No, that's a bad idea. You're not thinking. I know a lot of really good people that are still going to that church. They are good people. They wouldn't want to hurt children, yet they are supporting it. So I really want you to think about that, okay? And if you belong to an organized religion, I want you to think about any division that they may cause between you and somebody else, aka I'm saved and you're not. That is a program. We are all God's children. And you know what? If you claim to be a Christian, Jesus was awesome, man. He was so cool. Was he running around going, if you don't fit in my little belief system, you're going to hell? No, he wasn't. He was out there healing all kinds of people that were quote unquote unclean, hanging out with a prostitute. I mean, give me a frickin' break. If she was a prostitute, I don't think she was a prostitute. I think that was just a little Jimmy jacking around with some writings to make it look like women somehow or another were bad. We're not bad. In fact, we're really powerful, and we're coming back full force on this planet right now. Just so you know. Hey, I totally dig guys. But you know what? We need balance, my friends. We need lots of balance. So, yes, another program is the religion thing, and you've got to abide by all of these things, and all of these, we got the 10 commandments, and if you look at the Old Testament, we got over 300 commandments, and then there's all these other subsets and sub-rules, and some Christian sects are like, we don't believe in the Old Testament, it's the New Testament, but we're going to pick and choose what commandments we want out of the Old Testament. And it's like, no. You know what? Walk away with the tenets of every single major religion. Love one another. You'll be fine. Our world will all of a sudden bloom into this beautiful paradise if we could just handle that one thing. We've had 2,000 years to try and get this straight, man. Okay, Jesus came here 2,000 years ago to tell us how to make heaven on earth. Heaven is at hand. Remember that? That always stood out to me in the Bible. When I 9 years of Catholic school, I had religion class every day. I was able as a child to pick out what was true and right in the Bible. It was really easy for me to do, and one of the things that I learned in my religion was that other people who weren't like me, weren't Catholic, were going to go to purgatory or hell. And it's like, what? Back then I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it as a child. And it's one of the reasons I ran like hell away from that religion as soon as I could, because that just wasn't going to happen, man. As a child, I could smell the BS, right? Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Right here, my friends, right here in our hand. All we have to do is grasp that simple message, love one another as he loved us. And next thing you know, we're having a pretty good time on planet Earth, right? We can co-create together. We can collaborate together. We can make a wonderful planet. You know what? We haven't even explored the options and the possibilities of what could occur if we were all just cool to each other, man. I'm not saying you can't have your religious beliefs. If that comforts you on some level and makes you feel good, great. But to think that you're better than somebody else and for some reason you get to go to heaven and other people don't, you know what? That's a program. All right? I'm trying my hardest to walk in the footsteps of Jesus Christ. I've tried that my whole life, okay? I think most of us have a very innate understanding of right from wrong, okay? And if I did something wrong, I would feel it in my heart. And then I try with all of my might not to do it again and to become a better person. And that's what we're called to do here on this planet, is to become better people, become good to ourselves, become good to each other, and grow up. Just grow up, okay? We can still have fun while growing up, all right? Just do no harm. But the religion thing, yeah, definitely a program. Definitely a program. And we all need to look at that. We need to look at that. Anything that is division is a reptilian creation. Period. Period. In my family, I didn't fit anybody. I mean, no matter what, it's like, well, I wasn't this particular sect of Christianity that believed in this particular line in the Bible, and therefore I wasn't going to go to heaven. I was going to go to hell. I didn't believe a particular, another particular version of Christianity, and so I was going to go to hell. Let's see, what were some other ones? Oh yeah, well, I definitely ditched the whole Catholic thing, right? I've had people tell me, like, you're going to go to hell, and you'll be back, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. I could be a perfectly great person. I could even be a quote-unquote Christian and not subscribe to a religion. I just have to be kind to one another. That's what I need to do. That's what I need to do. That's the message. Don't freaking complicate it. When you're buying into division, you're buying the reptilian agenda. Period. Sorry, I'm like lecturing, but I get really mad about these things. You know what? There's nothing worse than feeling like you're an outcast in your own family because you don't think the way they do. Not very nice. Just saying. Just saying. Another huge program is education. You've probably heard the old adage, history is always rewritten by the winner of the previous wars. Whoever wins the war writes the history. And boy, that's true. And you know who's behind all the wars? This is the craziest thing. It's the reptilians. They're behind every war. All they want to do is divide. Divide, divide, divide. You against me, us against them. I mean, that is just their game. So, education, you know what? Once again, going back to grammar school, I remember like them telling me about, slaves built the pyramids, and recently people saying, oh, well, we've done all the math and, the science, and the slaves definitely built the pyramids. Give me a break. Give me a break. There are pyramids all over this world. There are pyramids we're still discovering. You've got... It's crazy making to even believe what I've heard deemed scientism, and I think that's a much better term for it because it is incredibly flawed. It generally supports whatever group was funding the studies on things. And when you find out who those groups are, oh my gosh, they all go to the multinational corporations and all of these institutions that are ruled by who? Oh, the reptilians. That is correct. Oh, yeah, that seems like it's going to be the answer to almost everything I have to say. It's the freaking reptilians. And we're talking about the reptilian in the living room, not ignoring it anymore. The Greek gods, I'll never forget that. I'm sitting in class and they're like, yeah, it's all myth. It's mythology. These people just made up all this stuff. And I'm thinking, man, they had a lot of time on their hands, didn't they? I know who's making up stuff. It's you guys. It's the education system's making up all this stuff. And you know what? You want to look at myth? Look at all the crap we've been told in school. I don't even want to think about what's being taught in school today. I mean, I swear I do not even want to think about what's being taught to these poor children. I just don't. So you know what? Thank heavens for our innate sense about things. Thank heavens for the people that are courageous enough to come forward and tell some truth. Whether part of this truth that's coming out these days is what they call the acclimation process or something along those lines, where they're trying to tell us about our hidden history with shows like Ancient Aliens and things like that, which I'm really grateful for. I got to tell you, that was a big awakening show for me. I actually started with the Pyramid Code. That was an incredible series. I'm going to throw both of those things out there. When you can really look around the world and go, wait a minute, we can't even do those things today. We don't even have the machinery to make things that are, like these precision cuts. How did they do this thousands of years ago? And the world keeps getting older by the day. Every time you pick up another mainstream news publication, things get older. They get older and older and older. So you know what? I smell a bunch of BS. And I think most of the world does too at this point. So let's get out of denial. Let's just move out of denial. It's not doing anybody any good. Not talking about the stuff isn't doing anybody any favors. What it's doing is keeping us locked inside a program. It's keeping us locked inside a control system. And you know what? We don't need to be here. We could be living, I've heard it said, living a Star Trek life. I don't know if I necessarily want to be living a Star Trek life. I'm more of an Earth type of person. I like natural things and organic things. But you know what? If we could have technology that didn't pollute our planet, I'm down with that. travel to the stars to go see some cool neighbors that might be a little more spiritually advanced than us. I'm totally down with that. I would like to learn some more things because I think one of our goals here on planet Earth is to learn how to become more spiritually advanced. I'm not saying all other races out there are more spiritually advanced, and we need to be cognizant of that. But you know what? I believe that there are as well. And I believe that right now we're in the Great Awakening, we're in an ascension process, and we are learning to become better human beings. And that we have found ourselves in these traumatic situations here on planet Earth at this time, including a virus that apparently is killing people all over the planet. Man-made, by the way. Guaranteed we're going to find that out. If we haven't already found it out. Oh my gosh, this place is a freaking zoo. You know what? This makes me laugh so hard. I put a meme on Facebook or something like that. That basically, when other extraterrestrial races fly past planet Earth, everybody locks the doors, man. This is an insane asylum. And I'm not going to say it's our fault, other than us being way too complacent. A lot of people have been asleep. A lot of people are waking up right now during the Great Awakening. But you know what? Our passiveness is our consent. We're complicit in crimes when we allow completely corrupt leaders to lead this world. When we allow mad scientists to spray crap in the air to control our weather, to create genetically modified seeds in an attempt to create genetically modified people, to allow medications with quote-unquote side effects harm people. And then if you try and say something like, oh, here's some like natural cures or some, it's like, oh no, you have to go to jail or we're going to kill you because you're offering natural alternatives. It's like, oh, okay, things that were provided to us by our one infinite creator on this beautiful planet. Oh, okay, we can't use those, and we're gonna get in trouble for it. You know what? That is corruption at its finest, my friends. That is corruption at its finest. And this dictatorship, and that's an understatement, of this world by these crazy ass controllers is coming to an end. It's coming to an end. And I'm here to out them too. Okay? That's my job. That's my job at this point in time, so I'm doing it too. So our education system, including our universities, all of it, you know what? It's all just meant to keep us subjugated, to keep us in this myth, in the Earth myth that this is just the way it is, folks. Science says so. Science says so. History says so. Our school books say so. So we have to believe it. You know what? I'm not believing it. When things don't add up, they don't add up. If 2 and 2 doesn't make 4, which maybe, it probably doesn't anyway. Knowing how badly we've been lied to. If 2 and 2 doesn't add up to 4, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. You guys can shove it. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them. Right? Okay, so education, snooze. No thank you. And congratulations to everybody who dropped out of school. I think you're brilliant. I wish I was that smart. I tried to, but I got bullied into even going to college. Ugh. Oh, speaking of college, I got my degree in broadcasting. Yeah, the media. Oh, imagine that. A control system? Huh? Is that a program? This TV program is brought to you by. This radio program is brought to you by. I mean, they don't even try and cover it up, right? They never have. Ooh, yeah, there's one of them. And they're what do you call it? It's not an icon. What do you call it? Their symbol. Oh, yeah. I've heard the term. The saying, symbolism will be their downfall. Symbolism will be their downfall, among other things, and just their stupidity. Just an all-seeing eye watching you, watching everything you do. Yeah, they love to spy. Oh boy, it's fun to watch other people and try and control them. Anybody with that mentality, if you have half of a heart, you need to stop it, man. You need to get a life. All right. There are way better things to be doing with your time. How about, getting off your little control throne or whatever you're on and going out for a nice walk in nature instead? How about hanging out with somebody who is awakening or somebody who has a beautiful spirit and a beautiful soul and learning what it's like to be one with others and learning what it's like to be one with our one infinite creator? How about spending some time to nurture your spirituality instead of controlling everybody? I don't care how much adrenochrome you use or whatever. By the time all is said and done, you are just going to be an ugly, ugly, used up monster. That's the truth. It's the truth. So stop it. I'm going to talk to some of these beings out there, and if there's some people that, are still involved in this, and anybody who's got controlling tendencies or manipulative behaviors, look at yourself, man. Do some work. You know what? You can self-help yourself back to wholeness and oneness. You can reach out to somebody who's spiritually connected. Learn from them. Stop being abusive. Just stop it. I mean, it's a sickness. You've got to stop. And you don't have to be like those freaking reptilians. You don't have to. You don't have to be beholden to them anymore. You know what? If they out you, and if they've got stuff on you to hold over your head, so be it. Go be free like everybody else. Take a risk, man. Take a risk. Do you think all the truth tellers at this time that are still alive haven't taken a risk? We're all taking a risk, man, and we know it. You know why we're taking a risk? Because we love ourselves and we love humanity, and you know what? We could probably learn to love you too if you would just chill out. Get it? Chill out. Walk away from the control system. Walk away from them. Learn how to raise your frequency and your vibration, just like Tesla said, and you can walk away from that screwy ass scene. So the media, they love their programs. They absolutely love their programs. I remember when I was going to school for broadcasting, and my teachers told us, well, you got into broadcasting at the worst time possible, the very worst time possible. There was something that was called deregulation, and they made it so that there used to be a limit on how many TV stations, radio stations, and newspapers you could own, but then they stopped. And as far as I know, there is no limit. And I worked in a very large market in the United States of America, and I watched virtually every single radio station, TV station, and newspaper get bought up by about 6 different giant groups. Those giant groups, as we know today, are called multinational corporations. Those multinational corporations, when you go to the top, are run by total psychopaths that are hell-bent on destroying our planet. And when you go a little bit further than that, oh my heavens, guess who you'll find? You know the answer now. It starts with an R, right? Okay, I'm not even going to say it. No, you know what? We are being codependent when we let these beings run this world. I'm not going to be codependent anymore. I'm not going to be codependent with one person, especially this group that has been destroying this incredible planet, this beautiful Mother Gaia, who has given us everything we could imagine. I mean, what a beautiful place to live. They're destroying her. They're destroying us. They're destroying our children. I mean, in the media, you know what? They formed our total perception of life. I was so grateful for my parents. There was some room for improvement for both of them, definitely. But you know what? I guess that's the case for all of us. But my mom just did not watch TV and really did not ever want me watching TV, like ever. And I remember hearing the words, the boob tube, not boob meaning breast, but boob meaning idiot, the boob tube, the idiot box. My brothers called it the idiot box. They knew back then that it was just a programming tool run especially by some governmental agencies, I won't name which ones, to program us, to make us think in a certain way. And after deregulation, I watched it get worse and worse, and I think we all did. And probably 10 or 12 years ago, I remember coming home from work one day and turned on the news, and I saw, a ticker tape on the bottom, a ticker tape on the top, all these things going by. And there were 4 panels on the screen of all these people yelling at each other about who was right and who was wrong. And I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. You know, this at this point is utter confusion, and I don't want to be part of it. I just don't. And you think about what you see on television. I don't listen to TV anymore. I haven't had TV in a long time, and I certainly don't listen to radio. But when I was still listening to it, it was drug commercial, sue a drug commercial, drug commercial, sue sue a drug maker, not a drug commercial. That's crazy. It's all crazy. It's just crazy. Do we need the latest gadget anyway? No, probably not. We're a society that is not very spiritually advanced, and we have these people throwing out all these technological things at us that we do not have the spiritual maturity to even be using at this time, in my humble opinion. Not saying that we don't need things. We certainly don't need to be keeping up with the Joneses and all that other stuff. This planet has plenty. It has plenty for everybody. If we just stopped the consumerism thing, and I've got to have the latest this, or I've got to have the latest that. We don't. We're just sitting there filling up landfills and, emptying our bank accounts and accumulating a bunch of crap that's just clogging up our lives, clogging up our creativity, clogging up our ability to love and to feel and to experience. Mainstream media, oh man, it's terrible. I remember the days of Leave It to Beaver, where at least things were, it was programming, yet there was at least a sweeter message to it. And oh man, tune into some of those reality shows and some other shows that have been on and that have raised our children, unfortunately. Not so healthy, kids. Not so healthy at all. I don't think there's any reason to tune into the mainstream media other than to see how much they're lying. You can always do that, right? Alternative media folks are fantastic. You have to use a lot of discernment with them as well. I'm so appreciative of all the citizen journalists on the street right now that are telling us the truth, that are bringing the truth to the forefront of humanity, regardless of the cost. Some of those people have lost their lives, man. A lot of people. A lot of people. So bless them, bless their hearts, bless their souls. Programming is all around us. It's everywhere we go. Beware of division. If there's any message of division somewhere, just be careful. I think that message should only be heeded when it's the us versus them when it comes to the control system. Okay? Because they create the division. So we can be cognizant of that. All right? The control system is creating the division. So we don't necessarily have to divide ourselves from them. We can invite them to come over onto our side. Come on over to peace and love and unity, you guys. Come on over. Experience what love is. Experience what love is. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. All right. I think that that's all I have to share today about programs. I could go on and on and on, but I probably don't need to. You're probably super aware of this yourself, so I'm just kind of talking it out. What I'm doing, and my point, is for us to stop being in denial about all of this. Stop being in denial about it. You know what? Talk about the criminals. Talk about the psychopaths. And talk about who's behind this. This is, a multi-thousand-year-old game. I mean, hundreds of thousands by some accounts. It just keeps going and going and going. Yeah, I guess we really do need a little darkness to help us grow. I get that. But you know what? We don't need to stay steeped in it. And in fact, what a neat experiment might be to see if we can raise our frequency and vibration and move into, I'll just say, the Christ consciousness on this planet at this time and see what that brings us instead. Ooh, that might be a really fun surprise. Thanks so much for watching Reptile in the Living Room, where we ain't staying in denial anymore. No way, no how. And guess what? I love you. Oodles. Peace.